Can you lose your salvation? That's the question that actually brought me to free grace. I grew up thinking Lordship salvation is the correct truth of the Bible. But, I found it odd that the Bible would tell us that we're saved by grace through faith and not of our works. But somehow our works had to be on the back end of it to prove ourselves. And then people would always bring up James 2. Well, James 2 is clearly showing us that if you have faith without works, then it's not true faith. But that's not actually what James 2 is saying. And that's that's contradictory to Romans chapter 4, verse 5. And it says, "And to the one who does not work but believes in him who justifies the ungodly, his faith is counted as righteousness." So this verse right here is telling you if you believe and you don't have works, you're still counted as righteousness. So what does James 2 mean? James 2 is telling us that if you have faith and it's not accompanied by works, it is not profitable unto men. It doesn't profit men. If you have faith and you sit there and do nothing about it, it's not profitable unto men and doesn't glorify God. If you go to Titus chapter 3, verse 8, it says, "This is a faithful saying, that these things I will that thou affirm constantly, that they which have believed in God might be careful to maintain good works." Why? Because these things are good and profitable unto men. Matthew 5:16, "Let your light shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven." 1 Peter 2, chapter 12, "Having your conversation honest among the Gentiles, that whereas they speak against you as evildoers, they may be your good works, which they shall behold, glorify God in the day of visitation." So you see, the Bible is pretty clear that says our works are profitable unto men, and it glorifies God. That's exactly what James 2 is talking about. And it tells us, it asks us, what can it save us? Can it save us from what? People automatically assume that's from hell. It's not. I believe it's talking about save us from chastisement from God. If we go to Hebrews 12, verse 6, it says, "From whom the Lord loveth he chasteneth, and scourge every son whom he receiveth. If you endure chastening, God dealeth with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not?" So I see, if we are disobedient to God, he will chasten us, and he'll pull us back to him, or at least attempt to. That doesn't mean we absolutely will, because we're stubborn people, and and we still have flesh. When we live in our flesh, that's when we disobey. When we follow our spirit, that's when we don't disobey. It's to believe in Lordship salvation, which I've done for many years. This is a recent conversion for me. I just recently, within 3 weeks ago, changed to free grace. When I believed in Lordship salvation, it was stressful. I never know if I've done too much where I'm not saved anymore, if I even had true faith, or if I'm doing enough. It's a constant weight on my shoulders. But the moment that I studied whether or not we can lose our salvation, I changed, and it's like this weight lifted off my shoulder, and I feel like I can see the Bible much more clear now. The gospel is that there's no work that you can do or that you must do to be saved. It is a gift from God. You accept it through faith. Jesus done the work. There's no works we do that can save us, for salvation. So I hope this is an encouragement to those who still believe in Lordship salvation, that I hope that you can soften your heart, at least study it, learn what the free grace actually teaches, because a lot of people will say, well, that's just a license to sin. I mean, what do you mean by that? Do you mean that we're saying you can just go out and sin whatever you want and there's no consequences to that? Because that's not what we teach at all. There's consequences to each action you have. And not only that, but everybody says that you can still sin. You'll just say that we don't sin as much. Okay, well, God's not okay with any amount of sin. He's not okay with a little. He's not okay with a lot. He's not okay with any amount of sin. So for you to say, well, I sin less now, so he's okay with that, that's not true. It's not biblical. The truth is that you are saved by grace through faith and not of your works. Let me read Romans 4:5 one more time. "And to the one who does not work but believes in him who justifies the ungodly, his faith is counted as righteousness. So if you want to have assurance of your salvation, don't depend on your works for your assurance, because you will never have it. You would have to do it perfectly for you to have assurance. Your assurance is from Christ, the work that he done, not the work that you do afterwards. So I hope that's clear. Thanks guys for watching. If you made it this far, subscribe and like, and I hope to see you on the next one.